Hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel. It's a while since I've done a Fragrance Friday, and so although this won't be going up today, which is actually Friday, I'll leave it for a couple of days because I've already put up one video today and I don't want to overwhelm your inboxes. I thought I would talk a little bit about my Les Exclusifs de Chanel perfume collection because I am considering culling it a little bit, so I wanted to record my thoughts on all the fragrances I've got at the moment before I definitely let a few of them go, because frankly my perfume collection has got out of hand. This is just the Chanel Les Exclusifs. In addition, I have quite a few of the, shall we call it, ordinary Chanel fragrances. In fact, I have most of them. I have quite a few Tom Fords, I have some Guerlain, and a whole host of others. And it's time to kind of reassess and cull some of the collection because I can't possibly wear them all, much as I love fragrance and perfume is a passion for me. So I am actually a fan of the Les Exclusifs collection, even though a lot of perfume aficionados are quite sniffy about this collection. I do recognise it's a way of drumming up vast amount of profits for the Chanel empire, and I'm sure some of these fragrances are certainly much different from the classics that a lot of them recreate. And I have, like many fragrance, I won't say buff because I don't really know a lot about fragrance, I just like to try and wear different perfumes. And I have bought old perfumes on eBay and from other sources, trying the vintage formulations, which are often different. I'm not sure they're necessarily better. I think often our memory is very kind to scents in particular that remind us of previous experiences. But anyway, that's another story. What I wanted to do today is talk about the ones I've got in my collection, particularly the ones I'm thinking of letting go, because the ones I'm not, I can talk about another day, as it were. And the first thing to say is, if you're interested in Les Exclusifs, I do urge you to consider what I do, which is never, ever, ever to buy them in the boutiques. Because they're ridiculously overpriced. You can buy these on eBay, just as I will be selling my ones on eBay that have been partially used. There's a big discount. I don't think really there are many fakes out there if you know what you're doing, and so you can pay £50, £60, which is quite enough for 3/4 of a bottle that you would be paying £135 for in the shop. And unless you're very sure you're going to use up a whole bottle and you really, really love it, I think that's the way to go. And you can get bargains that are even better than that. I do always have a little spray when I go into the boutique to buy makeup. They have all the fragrances, and it's a huge collection, much, much bigger than this. Nobody could possibly love all the different fragrances, although there's a very common theme, I think, with Chanel fragrances. They are still very, very different and versatile, so you need to pick the ones that you like. And I do always, when I buy, and I buy a lot of Chanel makeup, ask for not samples, which they try to give you, of the regular range, the number 5 and the Coco and those ones, but the Les Exclusifs, and that gives you a good chance to try out the fragrances a few times with the bigger samples. So with that in mind, what conclusions have I come to? You can see I've got quite a big collection here. The ones that I am less keen on and why. First of all, number 18, which is hiding here, which I foolishly hadn't smelled before I bought it. I think I got it confused with number 22, which is quite a favourite. Number 18 is, I believe, called after the jewellery boutique. Place Vendôme is numéro 18, 18. And it's a Jacques Polge creation. Now, a lot of aficionados rant and rave about Jacques Polge, who is responsible for updating some of the classic Chanel fragrances. I think he's been in charge, their chief nose, since certainly the 80s, if not the late 70s. His son now works for Chanel perfumes. I like all of his creations, I think, except for this one. So I'm a fan generally, but this one doesn't do it for me. Reading about it, the predominant note is said to be ambrette, which is something I'd never heard of till I kind of researched this perfume. I think they're seeds, so there must be a flower. And the seeds are used in fragrance, and they're used in some of the other fragrances from Chanel. But this is the one where a lot of people who talk about it say it's the dominant note. White musk is also a dominant note, and geranium. Now, I usually quite like geranium. I think I perhaps don't like musk very much. I certainly don't like as much the Chanel fragrances where musk or white musk is said to be a dominant note. Again, I don't know enough about how I react to musk in itself. When I think about it, I always think about the Body Shop white musk perfume, which we all wore in our teens, which I quite liked. But this fragrance, I just find it very cold, almost slightly aquatic. If you think back to, if you're old enough, the fragrances that were popular in the 90s, the Issey Miyake, they never quite did it for me. And this one reminds me of those. It's kind of a bit abstract as well, which, you know, again, I'm quite an old-fashioned girl when it comes to perfume. So it just doesn't do it for me, and it's the one although I've tried it several times, I'm least fond of and will probably get rid of. Another one that doesn't really do it for me is Jersey, and this is called for Chanel's beloved fabric. It's a relatively modern creation. Oh, again, it's Jacques Polge, so here's two of his I don't like. And I won't say I dislike this, it's just, you know, I don't love it enough to keep it. It's relatively modern, 2011, and the predominant note is lavender, and you definitely get that with it, but not in a kind of synthetic lavender, what can I say, toilet cleaner version. I love lavender, the actual plant. One of my neighbours has lavender bushes, and I love to kind of crush the flowers as I pass by and smell it on my hands. And I love it as a kind of soothing fragrance at bedtime. And I do occasionally wear this when I'm going to bed. So it's done very well, but it's kind of too aromatic for me to wear as a perfume. Again, I've read that there is musk in the predominant notes, so it may be that's slightly offending me again. And I get a definite, almost kind of bitter sweetness, but erring on the bitter side, a bit like kind of licorice, which I find sickly bitter, if you know what I mean. So Jersey is definitely one of my least favourites again. I'm less surprised that I'm thinking of letting go of Gardenia, because Gardenia, of course, doesn't actually smell, or you can't distill the actual fragrance of gardenias, much as we like the idea of it. And so the predominant note in this is tuberose, which I find too heady and is not a favourite for me. This is actually a recreation of one of the original 1920s fragrances, the historic ones from Chanel, all created by Ernest Beau in the 1920s. I think from what people say, I've never smelled a vintage 1920s or even later version. This is the modern version. This is much lighter, and therefore to me less offensive, but I'm definitely getting tuberose. I do like to wear it in the summer a little bit, but not enough really to keep it. Apropos of tuberose, I did have a sniff of the new Alexander McQueen at Harrods last week, coming in at a whacking £280. The most gorgeous bottle, and it is a very heady fragrance, but too much tuberose for me, much as I love Alexander McQueen. So those are the three that I wanted to talk about the most, because I'm going to probably let those go. I should mention Misia. I did a whole YouTube video on this, because this was one that I initially didn't like very much, and now actually I've come back to and I do like it, and I ended up having got rid of a big sample bottle, buying it. This is the most recent of the creations, 2015, by Olivier Polge, the son of Jacques Polge. It's a very powdery, warm fragrance. Reminds me of Guerlain fragrances, although you can definitely see the kind of Chanel iris notes in it, but it's a very violet and rose perfume. And I have really got into it now. I think it's a winter perfume for me, so I will be putting it away and getting it out next year, but I do like it. Just very briefly, these ones, if people would like me to, I will talk about them more in the future. I love them all. Number 22, recreation of a classic. Number 22 lost out to number 5 when Mademoiselle Coco released her initial perfume. And I think number 22 is the grown-up number 5. Very, very similar. Classic Chanel. Aldehyde, whacking you in the face. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Bel Respiro, I didn't expect to like as much as I do, because people say it's like number 19, which I'm not that keen on. It is. It's very, very green, but far less bitter and much more subtle, with a great woody base that number 19 doesn't have. And I absolutely love it. I wore it a huge amount in the autumn. Beige, again, one of the modern Jacques Polge creations, just gorgeous, a super feminine white floral with the aldehydes and a lot of honey. Reminds me a lot of another favourite, Tom Ford Champaca Absolute, although there isn't allegedly Champaca in this. Gorgeous fragrance. You can see I've used this one a lot. Coming into summer, I'll wear it a lot, and I would repurchase. And probably my favourite, 1932, again, a very recent recreation by Jacques Polge, a classic aldehyde white floral, lighter than beige, without the kind of sugar and honey, more citrusy, beautiful wearable. Doesn't have a huge last is the only problem with it. I've heard the perfume has a better last. I haven't yet kind of got myself geared up to spend all that money, although liking it as much as I do, I probably should get the eau de parfum. And a recent one, I kept spraying this in the shop, because why would I buy an eau de cologne from Chanel? It's so generic, but I really, really liked it. It's my favourite eau de cologne. It's just fantastic, because I think it has, I just think it has perfect balance. It has none of the sharpness and overdone citrus of certainly cheaper eau de colognes, but I find it more rounded even than Eau de Hadrian and Aqua de Parma, both of which I like very much. Very similar to Guerlain's Cologne Imperial. It doesn't kind of dry down to a soapiness, which again is something eau de colognes can do. Beautifully unisex, although I do think it errs on the feminine. Some people would disagree with me. I don't like the fact that I've got a big bottle of that. It doesn't match the others, but this was all that was available on eBay and it was a bargain, so I got it. So that's my Les Exclusifs collection, as I say, about to be pared down. Do go and have a sniff if you're ever near a boutique where they have them, or in duty free, because I think, they are beautiful, beautiful fragrances, all of them, and there is something for everyone there. Until next time, bye for now.